Good morning. Hi there. Welcome to Courageous Conversations. It's Victoria Lorient Fabish, registered psychotherapist, and boy, we had a reprieve from autumn yesterday and day before, and now we're back to autumn, Canadian fall, which is good. And how's everybody doing with that? And I'm just going to do some sharing, so let me know you're here when you do arrive on the scene. And I want to talk about something that's really it's meaty, which is, I saw a meme on Facebook the other day that I posted in my group Courageous Conversations, which I'd love you to join, which is a group in which we support one another on our courageous choices life. And it's a place where we can share our experiences. And this is one thing that I've really, talked about quite a bit, which is, and that meme that I saw really spoke to my soul, which is, are you evolving or are you repeating? You're either going to evolve or you're going to repeat. And when you do repeat, are you learning from what you're repeating so that you can evolve? This is such a massive. Just doing a little bit of sharing here so everyone can come on. Hi, Michelle. How's it going? Oh, your boss is in the office. I'm reading that. Have to listen to replay. That's cool. I get it. C'est la vie. It happens. But this is a good one, so do listen. The notion of repetition. I mean, sometimes clients will see me for a period of time, or they'll see me for a period of time, then they'll go off in their life and do their thing, and then they're back years later with a similar issue, but it's evolved. So they want to learn more. They want to learn more from what their repetition is, and that's why they enter into therapy. And I just think that's some of the best. It's an excellent practice, because so often when people are repeating, they're not learning from what it is that they are doing. And it's just this unconscious haze of just doing it over and over and over again. Now, when I think about that, I want to just say this to you. It's like everybody does this. And I believe life is here to teach us to evolve and to really step into our full purpose, into our greatness, into our who we are supposed to be, and to stop the cycles of dysfunction and patterns that are learned from the family. But the thing that's interesting to me is that there's a lot of unconscious repeating. Hi, Rick. Unconscious repeating, and I just share this if you can, because I think this is so important in terms of people really learning from the actions and the choices and the decisions and the feelings that people have over and over and over and over. And sadly, life is going to come at you with a whisper initially, and then it's going to come at you with something more profound and stronger, and it'll end up with a 2x4 over your head if you don't pay attention to the repetitions at hand. And I'm just going to wait for a few more people to come on. And when I'm doing my turquoise, I'm needing to get energy from the color and from the stones, because I find that a lot of people, as we're heading into the fall, are feeling something psychological as the darker days come. And some people love it. Some people just thrive in this phase. Not everybody does. But it's, hi, Julia. This is a very important moment, I believe, where we start to go inside. We start to be less out, and we start to have to be more conscious of our being. I believe that the colder months really are partly for us to do that. And to not ignore the value of really, really paying attention to what is in front of you at every turn. And so I want to ask you, if you are noticing repetitions in your life, patterns, thoughts, feelings, relationship styles, relationship fights, experiences around around family, experiences around job, experience, all of this. Is there a repetition going on? Is there a similar feeling going on repetitively? And the question you have to really journal about is, what am I learning from this repetition? Don't just engage in the repetition recklessly. Don't just engage in the repetition without a plan or a deliberateness. Be deliberate and ask yourself. And I mean, I've been doing this work for, oh my gosh, since the late 80s. And I've had phases where I myself go back into my therapist, go back into my therapy. And it's sort of like it's like I can feel some repetition, so go back and troubleshoot that. And it's all about troubleshoot the self. To me, the biggest theme of my work is courageous conversations and troubleshoot the self. There is no way around the mountain, I always say. You have to go through the mountain. And the mountain is where you troubleshoot and get tools and ask for help and journal and find out what your repetition is. Because dollars to donuts, there's a repetition going on. And if you keep repeating it, it's because you're not conscious and you're not learning and you're not seeing what's there. And that's something that I hammer forth when I'm working with people, whether it's talking at a seminar or in a group or in sessions. It's like, let's hammer that home, that there's something here for you to be conscious of. Don't just be asleep at the wheel. Don't just be asleep at the wheel. This is so important that you remember that. And the other thing to remember is pay attention to the signs and symptoms and messaging around you. Pay attention to the repetitive thoughts inside you, the repetitive feelings inside you, and troubleshoot them. Look at them, write about them, because that's going to give you some real insight as to what you're doing that is causing you to repeat. So Julia says, definitely see a repetition in my self-esteem decreasing and feeling unsupported in my relationship. I know it's not entirely reasonable or founded, but it's now how I feel in waves. Yeah, I mean, and so look at, Julia, do some work on, really troubleshooting it and asking, what are you doing? What are they doing? What's the common theme that you've seen before? Is there something that you need to, something you're, and really the biggest question usually in the repetition is, what am I afraid of? What's scaring me? And what's safe about the familiar? That's another one. Familiarity is such an interesting thing, and people can start to do some commentary if you like, because I can answer any questions. But what is familiar about this repetition that you're either feeling safe in, hating it, but feeling safe in it? Because a lot of people, it's so funny, we as human beings, I believe, are mired in the concept that even if we don't like it, we may gravitate toward it because it's familiar, and familiar means safe. And it's the human condition. We tend to gravitate towards safe, even if safe. I've worked with someone who what they gravitated towards was reckless choices, and for them that was familiar. That chaos was familiar, and chaos became safe because chaos, at least, they could troubleshoot and deal with chaos, but they never really were able to just be okay with settling in a new experience and really being calm through it. No, they needed it to be chaotic, and the chaos is what they thrived on. And I got to tell you, there is, every time things became peaceful, chaos would ensue, or things would happen so that this person would create chaos. And be aware of, being addicted to familiar, even if familiar is dysfunctional, or be aware of being addicted to comfort, even though comfort is blocking you from moving forward, or be aware of the repetition of a dynamic, a relationship dynamic, and not having the courage to change the dynamic, whether it be, I'm not engaging in this fight. This fight is one we've gone around this bend about 1,000,000 times. We've resolved nothing, and we still do this. So let's just not do this. Let's do something different, whether that different is therapy or just doing a different kind of a conversation about whatever that topic is. And that's part of the journey of shaking it up and not repeating same pattern over and over, because life is going to say you're either going to, evolve or repeat. And I love the Facebook meme that's going around that everyone is liking. It's called Evolve or Repeat. I was like, oh, and someone said, you need to do a Facebook Live on that. I'm like, that's why I'm doing this. It's like, and I think that post Thanksgiving going into the fall is the perfect time to really address. You got these next 3 months, October, November, December. Whoa, 2018, what a year. Holy moly. Really, this was a massive year for so many people. And for the world. And so what do we have? 2018, the last 3 months. What are you doing in these last 3 months? Are you going to evolve or are you going to repeat? What's next year going to look like? This is a great time to really take stock about what this year was and what next year can be. And also be conscious, troubleshoot the self. What have you learned? Where are you evolving? Where are you not evolving? Where are you stagnating? And I'm not talking about grandiose, crazy moves. I'm talking about just micro analysis of what's been going on in your life. I think that's just so powerful. And this is, as Sharita says, evolve and repeat, simply explained. Exactly. The truth of the matter. Okay, so here's the real truth. The real truth is we will repeat. But if you're going to repeat, listen to me on this. If you're going to repeat, learn every time you're repeating so that the repetition isn't just the same. It's a new version of the thing, and maybe the repetition is school that you're like, be conscious in the repetition. So an example would be people who are working on similar fights, and instead of doing the same old fight, they attack the fight, or not attack, they go about the fight in a more a method for fighting. So not just it's actually conscious fighting, conscious disagreement, and doing it. My second book, Connecting, the blue one, Connecting, Rewire Your Relationship Culture, has in there a whole section called Relationship Rescue 911. And I basically take people through what really healthy fighting looks like, so that you're going to go through a fight and you're going to go through, but when you're not repeating the crap over and over, what you're doing is you're not fighting. So repeating would be just fighting to get back at them. Fight. Not fighting or evolving through the fight would be to have a conflict and an expression in which your sole intention is to understand the other person and to listen to the other person and to show to the other person that you are listening to them and respecting them, and really getting information from that conflict versus just, So to me, that would be repeat, don't evolve. And then fighting in a conscious way would be a repetition of the same issue, but done in a conscious way and done in a way in which you're doing it in a new, evolved way toward more resolution. And resolution doesn't mean agreement, by the way. Resolution does not mean agreement. Resolution means coming to an experience in which two people have committed to hearing each other, listening to each other, and understanding one another. And sometimes it's agree to disagree. Sometimes the evolution is agree to disagree, and to be okay with that, not have your ego involved in that. And another piece of evolving is, which I talk about, is radical acceptance. And Tara Brach wrote a book called Radical Acceptance. And that is a massive evolving, to stop complaining about what you're not changing. If you can't change it, work on accepting it. That's evolution. That's evolving. So acceptance is major. Also, looking to emotionally regulate in a situation that you normally blow your top. So the thing happens over and over, but you are finding a way to emotionally regulate through it. You're not just exploding through it. These are examples. These are good examples of evolving through a repetition. And other good examples of how you evolve is you commit to not be as impacted codependently by another person's opinion of you, or you're not feeling like your self-esteem descends when someone doesn't do what you think they should do. You troubleshoot the self so that you evolve in the repetition. So it's not about never repeat, but be conscious in your repetition and make that repetition an opportunity to evolve through your consciousness, through your deliberate troubleshooting of it. And so that is part of this journey, I believe. Very, very strong journey. Because the truth of the matter is that when you are inevitably repeating, if the analysis doesn't occur, the repetition will be simply an unconscious journey toward the eventual rabbit hole and descent. But if you allow yourself to really, really enter into the troubleshooting and doing things like radical acceptance as one example of something you might choose to do, or no longer being codependent and having your self-esteem rise and fall based on the other person's tone or action towards you, or allowing the situation to be done in the fight to happen in a conscious way. These are just examples of how to evolve through a repetition. My gosh, the personal transformation that occurs is massive. I mean, it's such powerful, powerful change that can occur within you. And, don't take my word for it. Try it for yourself and watch yourself feel much better about yourself and your life and the choices that you have in your life currently. And that's powerful because when you're better within yourself, you get to impact the planet in amazing ways. You don't feel like the victim. You're not in victimology, in woundology, in the constant. Because I believe that at the beginning of this live, I said that sometimes clients will come back to me after years and work on a similar issue, but looking to really troubleshoot. I don't believe that they are regressing. I believe that they are evolving because they're like choosing to be conscious through a repetition. I had a client recently say, "Oh, here I am again." Years later, I'm like, "No, you're here again, but you want to troubleshoot the self." Courageous conversation with the self is troubleshooting the self, and that is where you will stop the unconscious repetition and you will evolve and you will grow. And again, don't take my word for it. Do this. And the first line of defense is journaling. Get the journaling happening. Hang on, a call's coming in on this phone and I want to just decline that. Okay, good. Because it changes how you guys hear me. Okay. So I'm hoping that this is clear, because the truth of the matter is that, we're, as we enter into the last phase of this year, to me, this 2018, I'm sure that there's been so much happening in your 2018. And what I really want is for your last bit to be conscious, to not just be unconscious repetition, because you want to prepare for this next year. And 2019, I think, is powerful. And I'm going to be talking in my Courageous Conversations about the really amazing opportunities we have in the next year. And the only way to go through this is to be conscious and troubleshoot the self. And Julia says, this is where I get hard on myself. Every time I go back into past behavior, I'm so hard on myself because I feel like I'm regressing. Listen to me, Julia. Number one, forgive yourself. To be compassionate with yourself, to be radically accepting of your dark parts, of your unevolved parts, is to evolve. And it's not about giving you a free pass to act like a schmuck. It's about allowing yourself to realize that you're human and that even in your humanity, you have self-compassion. And I believe that when people have self-compassion, they're able to troubleshoot the self in a much more effective way. And I really want to encourage us all to be radically accepting of one, to make friends. And what is radical acceptance? Just make friends with all parts of you. Make friends with every aspect of you. The part of you that doesn't evolve, the part of you that repeats, the part of you that was not so great to someone else. Make friends with that, so that, because you cannot learn, here's one, write it down. You cannot learn from what you judge. If you judge yourself, you're not learning. You're just putting yourself down. But you can learn from when you make friends with aspects of yourself and decline, let that judgment and shame go down. Then you set yourself up to be teachable and to be a learning student of your own experiences. And this is massive. And self-compassion, thank you, Sharita. Self-compassion, self-acceptance is the gateway to setting yourself up to evolve, not just repeat. Okay? And I just want everyone to understand that there is an opportunity every turn, every repetition has an opportunity in it for evolvement. Okay? And evolve or repeat. And if you're going to repeat, make sure you're learning from the repetition so you can evolve. And make every repetition an opportunity to learn and grow and evolve. I hope this was helpful. I hope you guys are listening and are feeling well served by these, because my intention is to proliferate my knowledge widely. So share it, okay? All right. I will come at you again with a courageous conversation. Let me know. Join my group and like my page, Courageous Conversations. Let me know what you want me to talk about. I mean, I talk about, you know, the stuff that is part of the work that I do on a daily basis in the office, but I want to know what you guys want me to talk about, because I will talk about just about anything, and I have over 25 years of experience, so I can talk about a lot of stuff. All right, so happy post-Thanksgiving. Let's really have these next 3 months be conscious, and let's keep having courageous conversations with ourselves, with life, with each other, self-compassion being the gateway to learning, and stop the unconscious repetition. I want you to evolve, because if you don't, if you keep repeating, all you're going to do is you're not going to evolve. So it's either repeat or evolve, okay? And I love that. I didn't make that up. I love that Facebook meme. Whoever's circulating it, bless them and bless you, and have a brilliant rest of the day. I'll come back at you live next Tuesday, with another courageous conversation. Bless you. Mwah. Love you. Bye.